So, welcome back. We are streaming live from HobbyJapan, Tokyo. I'm Kabukin. I'm here with Eureka.
Hi, I'm Eureka, and we're here with a special guest today.
Yep.
2019 World Champion, Kurosawa.
Yes! World champion.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our second live stream.
Yep.
And we'll be talking about the new cards from Emissaries of Light. And we'll also be seeing a matchup between the HobbyJapan development team.
Yep.
Using the new cards.
Yep.
And we also get to see some new cards from the Golbeza Cecil starter set.
Yep. So a couple quick things about today's stream. We're gonna start with the talking about the new cards and all of that, and later during the match, we're gonna have the development team actually come on and view it with us. So if there's gonna be anything that any of the guests are saying that maybe their English isn't quite as good, I'm going to be working as a translator. So I'll tell you guys explicitly when I'm translating for somebody else and when I'm talking as myself. Thank you for your understanding with that. And without further ado, maybe we should get started on talking about the new cards.
Okay.
All right, so during this new card talk corner that we're doing, we're going to be talking about just new cards that we think are really interesting, but we want to hear from you guys too, just like the last stream. So if anybody in chat has a card that they want us to talk about or anything that you think we missed when we're talking about cards, please feel free to give all of those thoughts to us in chat, and we'll try to cover as much as we can. So thank you for that, and let's get started.
Okay.
So, my card that I chose to talk about today is I want to talk about the new Wind Atomos.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Atomos is, we're gonna bring it up on screen here in just a second. Right over Chris. Okay. So, Atomos is a 2 CP wind monster, and basically every time you cast your second card every turn, which is not a kind of trigger that we're used to, casting cards is really powerful. It's just something you do normally in the game, but it's going to give you 2 CP back. So, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like having an extra backup, because there's a hard limit to 5 backups. And yeah, Atomos just consumed Chris. Yeah, ate him for breakfast. Yeah. So yeah, Atomos is kind of like a 6th backup, and as long as you can activate it every turn, it's going to make a lot more CP than it costs over the course of the game. So I am really excited to use this card, and at damage 3, it just becomes a forward for 0 CP, which is very strong. 2 CP, 7k forward that can choose not to be a forward is really good. And the auto ability on the forward to activate all your backups is also incredibly strong. It just gives you so much CP back over the course of the game, and I'm really excited to use this in a lot of different decks going forward. So, do you guys have anything that you think about Atomos?
Well, I think Atomos is cool, and there are a lot of cool monsters.
Yeah,
Hero monsters.
Yeah, the set has a whole cycle of hero monsters, and one in every element.
Yeah. What do you think?
Atoms will fit the many of cast synergy decks.
Yeah.
So mono wind or wind ice.
Yeah.
Something like that. So great card, I think.
Yeah, you can search it with, like they brought up on screen, there's the Dawned to search it in mono wind or any of your non-ice. And then if you're playing ice wind, you can search it with Nakamura here, which has been a very, very good card to search, or to use in ice wind decks and other wind decks before, to search like Typhon or Ochu, which are all really popular cards. And it works really well with the cast synergies with like Rosa and Baralai or Locke or those kinds of cards too. It's very, very strong. So, should we talk about your card, or do you want to pick one out from the chat?
Yeah, well, let's see what's going on in the chat.
Well, let's see. In chat, we have Benjamin. Benjamin, he's from Mystic Quest. Oh, what's the Japanese name of the card?
Yeah, I'm not
it's
sure
the
for the Japanese
5-cost Earth Theater Rhythm. なんだっけな日本語名。Yeah, this one. This one. Yeah, his name is Benjamin in English, but it's something completely different in Japanese. I can never remember what it is. But yeah, he's a fun card. Zash. Yeah, his name is Zash in Japanese. Thank you for that.
That's a weird translation thing.
Yeah, Mystic Quest is a really old game.
So, is Benjamin a cool card?
It's a cool card.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Okay.
What's going on?
All right. Let's talk about maybe a different card for a second.
Okay.
So somebody wants to hear about Moro. So that's tomorrow in Japanese. So that's a fire 3CP, 6K card. Do you guys have any thoughts about that one?
Well, I'm thinking of playing in the Fire Ice Party Crystal deck.
Yeah.
I
Fire.
saw you tweet
Yes.
a new deck.
Yeah, I tweeted a Crystal Fire Ice that uses the Celeste from a few sets ago, and yeah, tomorrow is in that deck too. Very strong.
Yeah, and I think the party synergy is really cool with Moro and Soul.
Yeah, and Soul too. So you get to draw cards and make crystals.
Make crystals, yeah. And he has the damage 5 ability.
Yes, damage 5 to deal a point of damage.
Yeah. I was waiting for Moro, the card.
You were waiting for it? Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, just give us 1 second. We're going to bring up the picture. So while we're waiting, do you have a deck that you want to use Moro in?
Yeah, basically Moro is a value generation card. For every turn.
Yeah.
So I love it, that kind of card.
Yeah. It works especially well if you can get party. You can get more value from other cards in your party. So like Noctis or cards like that too. It's very strong. 多分次のカードに進みます。Okay, so we're gonna go with Lastwell because it's already up on the screen. So what do you guys think about Lastwell?
Well, I picked Lastwell.
Yeah, for your card. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, he is. I think. Well, like each time a new Lastwell comes out, I think, well, this is the best Lastwell. This is the best Lastwell.
Yeah.
And I really think this is the best Lastwell.
Yeah.
He's a 2-cost Ice Forward. He's a Knight, and each time a card Lastwell or a Job Knight comes into play, you get to dull a character. Dull freeze a character.
Yeah.
And he also has a second ability where if a Job Knight attacks that turn, your opponent discards at the end of the turn.
Yes.
So it's like a delayed ability. And well, what's so cool about him is he's a 2-cost.
Yep.
So you could play him on like turn 2.
Like turn 1, turn 2.
Turn 2. And you can just keep on playing the other knights.
Yep.
And there are a lot of cool knights like Agrius.
Yeah, this set there's the Agrius and Ramza. Yeah.
And well, other knights from the old sets like Charlotte.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, perfect. It's got great synergy with the card because Lastwell, he gives you, like Kurosawa was saying, cards that he liked, it gives you advantage every turn by making your opponent discard a card. So it's good to protect it with cards like Charlotte, I think.
And yeah, so I'm really making this Ice Fire Knight party deck.
Yeah.
So it has a synergy for the knights, and it has synergy with the partying. So like what was the other party?
Celeste?
Oh yeah, Celeste.
Yeah.
Celeste. So what do you think about this deck?
So I made the deck, and I think it's really great. Yeah, it's a very fast deck because a lot of the cards that are really strong in it are even costed, so they cost 2 or 4. Which means it's really easy to play them from your hand very quickly, as opposed to other decks like, for example, Wind or something like that, where a lot of their key cards are cost 3 or 5. You have to play them off of backup, so you're naturally going to be playing it a little bit slower than when you're playing with cost 2 and 4 a lot in decks. And I think the 4-drops in the deck, especially like Celeste and Onion Knights, which is not a card that we have brought up today, but is another very strong fire card in the set. Shantoto and Celsius are all really good at making more than one card from their cost. So they're really good targets for Soul. They're really easy to play out early and get a lot of advantage very quickly.
Yeah, easy to play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very, very easy to play to the table. Yeah. Are you excited to use Last Will in any decks, Kurosawa?
This is cheap threats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only deal damage to the opponent, but also generate values. So
Yes.
that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's somebody else said it in chat. It's kind of like Genesis, the really old Genesis from Opus 3, where it was the 4 CP 7K. When it attacks your opponent, you make them discard a point of you make them discard a card. It's kind of the same thing, but it's kind of updated for the way the game is played now, where it can hit any character and it works when any of your knights attack. So it's got some really nice extra synergy, and it's a lot cheaper. Okay, should we move on to one from the chat? So we'll do one card from the chat, I think. We want to talk about Sophie. Sophie, yeah. So Sophie is another really cool card in the set. And, well, the first Sophie was so good, you know?
Too good.
The first Sophie was so good that I don't think we were expecting to have another Sophie that was 2 costs be quite as good as that. But the new Sophie, I think, is actually really, really strong. So she's a 2 CP Earth Cave forward with 5,000 power. And when you cast a 5 CP or greater, she gets to deal her power to a forward that your opponent controls, and then she doubles all of the damage that she deals to other forwards. So basically, when you play like a Cecil or any 5 CP or greater card, she deals 10k to anything as long as she stays on the field. If she doesn't stay on the field, then it's only 5k. But she still does the 5k, so it's not like you just lose to Brynhilde or anything like that. I think it's a very strong card, and it's really easy to... something that the big costed decks often lack are ways to control the board, and this is a good synergy card for those decks to help control the board. Is there any deck that you want to try Sophie in, or?
So I will try Sophie in Earthwind or something
Earthwind?
like
Yeah.
5 CP synergy deck.
Yeah. It works really well with the wall, and then in Earthwind you have a lot of backups that are cost 5 or more. So like there's Shantoto, the one that gets an Earth or Wind card from your deck. Star Sybil is another big one. Tyro maybe, or like Bismarck, Cecil, Fina. These are all like very, very strong 5 costs or more that'll help trigger Sophie, but also they get you cards back into your hand. So they're pretty strong cards. Yeah, this is the wall that kind of goes with it. So they both are kind of a pair. You know, they let you get a lot of advantage back when you cast the character that's cost 5 or more. And what's really important is that that trigger happens when it's cast. So if your opponent has like Sid Randall, these still work. You still get to draw a card, you still get to Sophie, because Sid Randall stops it when it enters the field, and these are triggered when it's cast, so it'll actually work in those cases. Yeah, very, very interesting card, and I think we're all excited to play with a lot of that. So, let's move on to Kurosawa's card that he wanted to talk about, because it's actually, somebody said it in the chat, so maybe we should talk about...
Yes, my card is Mebius. So this has 3 abilities related to Kurosawa. So let's check second ability. It is effectively reduce the cost of cards against Kurosawa, like 2 CP backup samurai or ninja, something like that. So, Mobius is basically the strong realness.
Yeah.
So, cost reduction effect, like card in Crystal deck.
Yeah, so every time you play a crystal, you kind of get a card back, so it kind of is like reducing the cost of those backups. So they kind of feel like they're 0 CP if you're getting them for free when you get crystals with Sarah Mobius.
Yeah. And she also had a fast ability to gain crystal, so it able to reduce the cost of herself. And she can remain the field by the third ability, +1k power,
Yeah.
and mean right effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she works with the more card and more cost reaction. It is so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those cards where like your opponent has to kill it, but she has that built-in protection, so it's really hard for your opponent to kill it. So once she's on the field, she can get you a lot of cards, and it's really hard to get her off the field, right? So it's just so much value built into one card. Yeah. I think this card is really cool too, and we've talked about Sophie, Wall, and Sarah Mobius now, so maybe we talked about like all of the Mobius characters in this set. They all look really good. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of crystal decks are you thinking of playing Sarah Mobius in?
In Emissaries of Light, there is a lot of crystal card in ice element.
Yeah.
So, first idea is ice and water crystal deck is the start point
Yeah.
to build the deck.
Yeah, in Opus 15, water had so many crystal cards, like way more than any other element. There's Lena and Gao and Realm. So this is a great addition to the water. And then, Ice has so many good ways to use crystals with the new Shantoto and Cloud of Darkness. It'd be nice to see a cool crystal deck come out of the Ice-Water archetype. That'd be awesome. Do you have any thoughts on Sarah Mobius? Or?
So, which would be better, Ice Water Night Deck or the the Ice Fire Night Deck?
Well, I think Ice Fire is a lot faster. It's Celsius and Onion Knight and Soul, which lets you play cards to the field really quickly and kill your opponent. And Celeste, when you do the party attack, it kind of taps your opponent down, so it makes the game really fast. I think maybe the Ice Water Crystal deck would be more like a slow card advantage that kind of just has a lot of range of threats. So you could play Lastwell and Agrius for like the low to the ground if you want to, but you can also play the long game, with like Cloud of Darkness and Shantoto and trying to get cards out of your opponent's hand to play these cards for really cheap. So I think they both have a lot of potential.
Okay.
Yeah. I just made the Fire Ice. Yeah. This is the new Shantoto, which is not a card that will that any of us chose, but I think we all think is very strong.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so the biggest part of it, I think, in my opinion, is I didn't know how much I could make my opponent have one card in hand to make it a cost 1. Because the difference between playing it for cost 1 and cost 4 is really, really big. But it turns out you don't have to make your opponent discard cards. If you just go try to kill them, they're just going to have one card in hand a lot of the time. So it comes out at 1 CP 8k a lot of the time, and then it gets a card back. And this is the first time Ice can recur any character. So before there was Yedalos, the 4 CP EX backup could get any Ice card, but this is the first time that you can get any character. From your break zone, which is really, really strong on recursion. And then the crystal effect is also just so good. Back in before Opus series and chapters, there was a card called Medius that did a similar that it had a similar effect to this, but this is the first time we've seen it in Opus, and I think we're all gonna feel how strong the chapters Medius was with this card by the end of the set. So yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of this card.
Okay.
Yeah, and I
hope he doesn't get banned.
Yeah, yeah. I hope Shantoto doesn't get banned too. Yeah. Okay, so we've got another quick couple of minutes. Maybe we should take one more card from the chat. So Fina or Mira. We're going to talk about black mages later. We'll get to that. So maybe we should talk about Fina, because there's no Fina in the deck today. So, you guys remember what Fina does? If you have 4 or more wind backups, you can discard her from your hand to stop any auto ability. So, we all know that stopping auto abilities is really good. But it's only from a forward, yeah. So stopping auto abilities is really good because we know Amaterasu is really good. It's maybe one of the most talked about cards in the game. So what do you guys think about this card?
It is it can be used in the mono win deck.
Yeah.
But the effect is so good.
Yeah. I think I agree. It's just impossible to do this unless you're mono wind, basically. But the effect is so good that it makes me want to play mono wind, kind of. So.
And you would have 4 backups if you are playing.
Yeah. Mono wind is really good at getting to 4 backups. That's true too. Yeah. So yeah, that was a nice short one. So maybe we should swap over to talk about the game.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna call in the HobbyJapan development staff real quick. So I'll introduce them in just a second. We're gonna swap seats a little bit. I have become Kabukin.
Yep. I am the world champion.
I was the Atomos.
Okay, so for the next little bit of the corner here, we're gonna have we're gonna watch a pre-recorded match between the 2 members of staff that I have right next to me, and I'll go ahead and introduce them. This is Mr. Nakamura.
こんにちは。開発官中村です。よろしくお願いします。
And yes. sorry. They're gonna be speaking mostly in Japanese, and I'm gonna do interpretation for them. So yeah, he just introduced himself. He's part of the development staff.
開発スタッフの相沢です。よろしくお願いします。
This is Mr. Aizawa, and he's part of the development staff as well. Okay, so we're gonna watch a quick game between them, and we're gonna go over their decks first. So we should pull up the first deck picture. We can talk about that real quick. Just give us
Let's see,
1
that's
second.
I want his t-shirt.
Yeah, you want his t-shirt, yeah. Yeah. I don't think we can have those t-shirts. Okay. So the first deck that the staff has prepared for us today is a Fire Wind Final Fantasy IV deck. Is there something you want to tell us about? 構築のポイントはどうでしょう？
今回、セシールとローザと、セオドアが出たので、新しく非風の4デッキを組みました。であとはパロムとフォロムが、よく使われているカードなので、それをアクセントに使いましたね。あとはパンネロが、バンをサーチできるようになったので、バックアップも強くなったので、このデッキにしました。
ありがとうございます。So the big points around this deck are that the new Theodore and Cecil came out, so he wanted to play a deck with the Final Fantasy IV stuff, and it goes really well with the backup Rosa and Hooded Man and Palom and Porum. And this wasn't part of the way you could build Firewind before is kind of difficult because the only way to search Philo is Pinello, the backup Pinello. And that was the only way to get water CP to play Porum. But now that Pinello has another target in Van, it's actually gotten a lot more consistent, so he wanted to try this out. Alright, and this is a Earth Lightning Black Mage deck made by Mr. Aizawa. And so this one is going to be revolving around Black Waltz 3, which lets you recur your other Black Mage targets in Robo Akbel and Vivi. And then Vivi is a really cool card that also came out this set that lets you recur the Black Waltz 3. So let's ask him what he has to say about this deck.
そうですね、黒魔同士のギミックと今回いろんなカード見てほしいなということでモンスター のギミックも入ってて、2つのシナジーを組み合わせたデッキを作りたいなってところで今回こういうデッキにしてみましたね。FF9 のファンなんで新しい FF9 のカードを作った時はそういったデッキもちょっとお見せしたいなと思っていて、今回はそういったところでこの2つの軸でデッキ作らせてもらいました。
So the other half of the deck is kind of revolving around a lot of the new cards that Mr. Aizawa has his eyes on. That includes the monster cards. So the big cards here are going to be Mira and Twintenia and Hades, I think. These are some of the powerful monster cards that just go well with the other half of the black mage deck. And we got a really interesting game lined up for you. So let's go ahead and swap over to that. 対戦の動画をお願いします。All right, let's get started.
So who's going first?
Yeah. So we've got the two staff members here, and we can see Aizawa's hand, but we can't see Nakamura's hand. That's okay. I think they're deciding whether they want to mulligan and who's going first. So I think an interesting part while we're waiting for the game to start, I think an interesting part of these two decks is kind of the difference between the two in terms of just what kinds of deck they are. So the Fire Wind deck is more of a deck that gets more powerful the more cards you have on the field. Cecil is obviously a strong card, but if he's not protecting anything besides himself, he's a lot less strong. So it's kind of one of those cards where this is one of those decks where if you have Theodore, Cecil, Bismarck on the field, it feels impossible to beat. On the other hand, the Earth Lightning deck just plays a lot of powerful cards by itself. All of the cards are individually quite strong. Twintenia is a really powerful card that your opponent has to deal with. Black Waltzes are really powerful cards and Robel are powerful cards your opponent has to deal with. And you don't really need a lot of the other cards on the field to make anything work at a given point in time. And I think that's an interesting part of it. It looks like we have a Rosa backup start from the 4 deck, which is really good because having the Rosa on the field lets you resolve Theodore more quickly. And then a turn to Cecil after the 2 backup start. So I'm going to ask because I'm really curious real quick. セシルを出す場合ってちょっと止めていただいてもいいですか。セシルを出す場合ってだいたいどの割合で、バックを出すかフォワードを出すかっていう決める基準ってありますか。
決める基準は、パンネロが出せるならバックアップ、4コストのバックアップですね。4コストのバックアップ出せるときはバックアップ出します、ね。あとはフォワードを出すのが多いですね。
なるほど。So just confirm real quick. Nakamura's personal recommendation is if you can usually play a 4 CP backup with a Cecil, that's just going to be worth it most of the time. You don't actually have to play a category 4 character. So if you can play, like a Pinello or an Orstalin or something like that, he would prefer to play that pretty quickly. And then after that, when you can't start playing 4 CP backups, that's when you start playing the forwards with Cecil.
Okay.
どうぞ。No, we're not frozen. I just stopped to ask him real quickly. Sorry about that. Looks like Aizawa responds with a Kobold, which is a powerful card in this kind of matchup to make Titan go to 10k.
Okay.
So it can kill all the 9ks. That's a really important card in this matchup, I think. Looks like the Philo's coming down, so we have water CP, so now we can play our Porum.
Okay.
That's really interesting, yeah. And the Vaughn comes down as well, so we have all of our colors. Meanwhile, on Aizawa's side, it looks like the Cecil is getting in for damage, but he's got a lot of time to put down his backups. So that can be really important for this deck as well. It looks like we're going to see the Black Waltz 3. So the Cecil is actually really good at stopping the Black Waltz 3 because it stops the discarded Black Waltz's hand effect. And it also stops the Black Waltz break effect as long as he doesn't pay the extra 2. That being said, Black Waltz doesn't actually have any targets right now. So I guess this is time for Mr. Nakamura to find cards that he wants to play onto the field and not give the Black Waltz 3 any targets.
さっきのターンの時にパルムとポルムがハンドに揃ってたんですけども、
はい、
黒のワルツ3号がいてちょっと出せなかった
あー
ので、このターンは謎のところでエンドしましたね。
Yeah, okay, so actually at this time, Mr. Nakamura had Palom and Porum in his hand, but because Aizawa had played the Black Waltz 3, he actually felt like he just couldn't play them because they would just immediately die to the Black Waltz 3 effect. はい、どうぞ流してください。
大丈夫です。
Did you すいません。クロノワルツさんはそのパロポロを意識的にそのケアするために出したのか、そもそもなんかバリュー的には置いただけなのかっていうのありますか？
この状況だったら手札のコストをしっかり使い切るために出してましたね。
わかりました。
で今ちょうど出てきたタイタンなんですけど、実は手札に8コストのエクスデスを持っていて、
はい、
でこれをこのターン出そうか、この眼神タイタンを出そうかで2択で迷ってたんですけど、中村さん側が手札4枚もあったので、ここは一応アマテラスをケアしてタイタンの方に選択したみたいな、そういう感じですね。このターンについての説明をちょっとついでにさせてもらっちゃったんですけど。
全然大丈夫です。どうぞ、動画続けてください。そのうち通訳します。So actually, Aizawa decided to play Titan this turn. He was debating between playing X-Death and Titan, but because Mr. Nakamura had 4 cards in hand, he decided that he wanted to play, try to play around Amaterasu as best as possible. So he decided to play Titan instead of X-Death because if he had played X-Death, then the Amaterasu would have been a lot more damaging to his prospects for the turn. But because Titan doesn't actually die to the Amaterasu, he was able to retain a lot more momentum.
止めてもらっていいですか？僕もさ、そこターンにアマテラスを打ってしまったんですけど、残りポルムが残っている状態で、パルムを着てしまったので、あんまり良くなかったなと思ってタイタンが出てきたので、もうシャントットだけをねケアしてればよかったので、あんまり良くなかったなと。
Mr. Nakamura says that he actually Amaterasu the Titan because he felt like he had to, but he discarded the Palom to do so. So he actually thinks that in hindsight it was probably not a good idea and he should have just kept the cards in his hand because the last card in his hand is Porum and now he can't play it because it'll just die to the Black Waltz 3. So he has he's relying on the top of his deck to find a play for the next turn. どうぞお願いします。
このターンでやることが決まらなくなってしまったんですよね。
Yeah, he's looking for something to do, and he's just looking at his hand, and there's nothing in there. How do you? Oh.
パルムがあれスイスター倒したのやと思ってたと。
So he's got the Theodore, but that's going to trigger the Suzuhisa, so Aizawa's going to get 2 cards back.
ここは明確なプレイミスで、タイタンがいるときに族の効果で1000パンプをですね、黒のワルツに振っておけばよかったんですよね。
なるほど。
アタックできなかったですね、それされたら。
I see. So Aizawa is saying he's made a plain mistake there by not pumping while the Titan was on the field, so that he could block against Hooded Man and or Cecil. The Kobold effect only works when Titan's on the field. The old think tank, yes. So now that the Amaterasu is gone from Nakamura's hand, the X-Death comes down, and he can even afford, with all of the extra cards that he got off of Suzuhisa, to pay for the extra cost and bring out Robo. And since we have a crystal, the Robo is going to clean up a lot of the field. And that's hard to come back from. The void, yes, the void indeed. Is there anything that you two think about the game as it's gone so far?
On Nakamura-san's board, Cecil and Silver
Yeah.
is work good with Primal Bismarck.
Yeah, with the Lord of the Mist Bismarck, yes.
Good answer for Aizawa-san.
Yes, yes. Maybe here in a different world, if the X-Death and the Robel had been weren't on the board because of Amaterasu, then if Bismarck came down, it could have been a very different game. But in response, we have Edge and Porum, and without Cecil on the board, there's not enough protection, and Edge can't protect Porum either, and the Black Waltzes are going to, and X-Death S are going to clean it up. Yes, Robel. So that's a really fun point about the Black Mage deck, is that Robel can add back a backup from your hand, from your breaks into the hand every turn, and so that'll add X-Death back, so that you can continue to use the S every turn. So that's one of the cool things about this Black Mage deck, is that everything gets something else back.
Okay.
So Black Waltz 3 gets back VV and Robel. Robel gets back X-Death. VV gets back Robel or Black Waltz 3. So there's a lot of cycling going on.
This is brutal.
Yeah, this is brutal. This is brutal, yes. Usually it's thought that Edge is kind of a nice protection, but when he's the only person on the board, he doesn't do anything. So here's a Black Waltz 3 ability is being used to blow up the Edge, and it's gone forever.
Oh, bye-bye.
ここはセオダル除去しようと思ったんですが、全部きれいに
Yeah.
処理されてしまいましたね。
So Nakamura was thinking that he would get back Theodore and be able to untap them to clear the waters with Robel, but clear the Robel out and stop the X-Death loop. But because of the Mist Dragon and the Black Waltz effect, literally everything in the break zone was gone, and the whole play fizzled.
Oh, there it goes.
And there it is, every turn for the rest of the game. And there's the Bismarck that we wanted a few turns ago. And here's another cool little piece of the deck, using Spiritus, which is a Diana target, which is a really big part of this, to search for Titania, which is one of your powerful monsters that can help you control the board in addition to the Black Waltzes.
So is it just there for Titania?
Yeah, there's no other target in the deck. So there's 2 Spiritus and 2 Titania, Twintania, if I'm remembering correctly. And use the Diana to search the Spiritus, and then Spiritus will get the Twintania to the board.
Okay.
And then when the Twintania dies, you can use the Spiritus effect, or if they kill the Spiritus and the Twintania, then it's a really good target for Mira, which I don't actually believe we're going to see. And here is a forced play. Use the Susano to clear out everything.
デッキの最後のスタンドをこのターン引きましたね。
he said it's the last Susano in his deck, and he was just able to rip it off the top. A really big important part of the Susano this turn, I think, was that it removes from play all of the cards. So Aizawa can't bring back the Twintania with Mira, and he can't get either Robel or Black Waltz 3 with VV. And because the Black Waltz 3 didn't go to the break zone, he doesn't get to get any of his Black Mages back either. So using remove from game is actually a really important way of combating the Black Mage deck, I think. Because there's so much recycling going on. But here he just has another Black Waltz 3. He's just so far ahead on cards, I think. He still has 5 cards in hand. So using Hades'
Hades.
end of turn ability to cycle. This is another new card from Emissaries of Light, one of the lesser talked about monsters in the set, I think. But it lets you cycle out of backup every turn, so it works very well with Robel. When you have all of these extra backups in your hand, it lets you turn them into more cards off the top of your deck. And when you attack, it gives a forward the ability that when it's damaged, it breaks. So that works really well with the Black Mage's ability to do 4K when they're discarded, and also with Mira's ability. So Mira gets back Hades, but it also when a forward a monster you control is put in the break zone, she deals 2,000 damage to something. So that works really well with that as well.
That's enough damage.
Yeah, 2,000 is enough. Yeah, exactly. Here, Aizawa is actually getting to 5 damage, but if he can just clear the Susano, and I think we know he can, then he's going to be safe. There's not a lot of haste in the Firewind deck, and especially, not in these elements in general, but in this deck in particular, there's not a lot of haste, so I think he feels pretty safe to attack. And here we see the Hades effect. So he gave Susano the effect that when it takes damage, it dies. And then he uses the ninja to finish that off.
Ooh.
Very clean. Here's another one of the crystal backup. So when you play Robel, you want it to be live all the time. So that's where you play the 6 crystal backups in this deck. 3 Geomancer and 3 Ninja. And here's another one of the Suzuhisas. Now, Suzuhisa has been around for a really long time, but there hasn't really been a place where you want to play a lot of Suzuhisas. You know, it's just kind of a draw 2 card, and it's really weak to Bismarck, so a lot of people are turned off by it. But when you play Diana in the deck, you can search it out really early, which makes it a lot more powerful. And in the new set, and in this list, although not in this game, is the new Reeve. So the new Reeve is a 3 CP lightning backup that when it enters the field, you can choose a cost 2 or less forward in your break zone and play it to the field. And that works really well with Suzuhisa because it plays the Suzuhisa to the field, and then when your opponent uses the Suzuhisa, they get to draw, triggers an auto ability. You get to draw 2 cards, and then Reeve will untap.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good synergy in this deck with Suzuhisa. I really like it. And here's the Palom. This is actually really good against the Suzuhisa too. Yeah. So Palom and Bismarck are really good against Suzuhisa. Yeah. In general, this game has a lot of auto abilities, so it feels like you can always draw 2, but sometimes there's the cards like Palom and Bismarck that just kill it.
黒魔導士デッキは使ってみると分かるんですけど、
はい、
その黒魔導士をそのサーチする方法が乏しいので、
はい、
涼しさでドローすることで2枚目とか3枚目にアクセスできるようにっていう意味で、涼しさはそういう使い方ができるんで、結構そのドローの乏しいデッキにはおすすめのカードになってますね。
So, Mr. Aizawa's point about Suzuhisa in this particular deck is that there's actually just not a lot of ways to search for your black mages. You know, you have Robel and Black Bolts 3, and you can search for them with, you know, Aldo and Kolka, but that's just like one card. So using Suzuhisa to draw into the extra pieces so that you can get the loop started and get to Robel faster is actually really important for this deck in particular, he says. And here we see Robel coming down again, clearing the forum. And Edge can only protect wind characters. So he's a really strong 4 character, but he can only protect wind characters. So he can't protect Palom and Forum, which is sad. Black mages look fun. I gotta give them a try. Yeah, they're super fun.
あとちょっと地味なポイントなんですけど、
はい、
さっきのターン実は黒のワルツ3号とモンスターがアタックする順番逆でこのターンとまた別の順番に殴ったんですけど、それは相手の EX バーストで例えばワンドローする場合、さっきはモンスターから殴って黒のワルツでいったんですね。それはもし EX バーストでカードを引かれた時にチョコボとかにアクセスされてしまうと倒そうとしていたスサノが回収されてしまったりとかのリスクがあったので、先に除去する効果を持っているモンスターからアタックして、で今回は逆にブロッカーができるカードがいたのでブリュンヒルデとかがめくれてしまうとモンスターからアタックしてしまうと黒のワルツに当てられて相打ちしてしまうみたいなこともあったので、このアタックモンスターがいる時にアタックの順番っていうのは毎回ちょっとそのどっちが正解かを考えるといいかもしれないです。
Okay, so Aizawa just brought up a really high level point for his attack orders over the past 2 turns. So if you notice, on the previous turn, he attacked with Hades first and then Black Waltz 3. And the reason he says he did that is because he was thinking about the EX burst that Mr. Nakamura could possibly have in his deck. So if he Hades first, and or if he attacks with Black Waltz first and his opponent hits like a Terra or something on EX and is able to access a Chocobo summon, then he could retrieve the Susano to his hand with the Chocobo. So he attacked with Hades first to clear the Susano, and then attacked with Black Waltz 3 afterwards. And this turn, he did it in the other order, because if he attacks with Hades first and his opponent hits a Brynhilder, then it would become a 1-for-1 trade. It could become a 1-for-1 trade with the cards on the field, but in this case, attacking with the Black Waltz 3 first is safer, because if the Black Waltz 3 trades with the Brynhilder, then he's going to get cards back.
I'd like to ask you one thing to
Yeah,
Aizawa-san.
of course.
In this, Aizawa-san plays Cintania.
Yeah.
What do you think this point?
このターンにツインタイヤを追加で出した理由、そうですね、まあ、最後のターンになりそうだなと思ったので、次のターンできるだけ処理しづらいフォワードを幅広く展開するのはすごい大事で、今スサノオがもう一回出てきてもモンスターが確実にいる状態だったので、展開し得なターンなのかなと思ってました。
So this is the turn that Mr. Aizawa put Nakamura to 6 damage. So he decided that it was a good turn to play the Twintania, because at the 6 point of damage, his opponent has to play something. So in this case, the card that he's thinking about in particular is Susano. So even if Mr. Nakamura plays Susano this turn, he's going to have the Hades. So he just wanted to put any threat on the board that is difficult for his opponent to deal with to make the highest chance of lethal happening the turn after. So this is the turn of fate.
And we know there's no more Susano.
Yeah, he said he told us that there's no Susano, but that's true. That's true. Just making sure that there's no way to come back. But that's really important, right? When you're playing the game, you have to find all of your outs, make sure that there's no lines before you make your plays. King Tycoon. Yeah, that would be really interesting. Tycoon. がこの場にあったらまだ一旦は生き残れるし。Yes, that's true. King Tycoon would be a good out in this position. It's a good spot. But that's not King Tycoon. It's another Pinello. So we sacked the first Pinello to Susano, so we can play this one. However, I don't think this is enough to live the turn. The deck is, sometimes when the deck gets really thin, it's really hard to spread it out into 3 piles. 3つに分かれるってその枚数が薄くなった時には結構難しいですね。
そうですね。応募してましたね。
And here Aizawa is just finding the line for lethal, whichever it is. So we're going to get back to X-Death. Now here, Cecil X-Death is actually, or Cecil and Edge is actually a really good combo, because when Edge activates his ability, targeting something, it chooses it again. So if he,
complete attacks.
Yes.
Again.
So if Aizawa chose Cecil here, then Nakamura could make him pay 2 and then use the edge effects to make him pay 2 again. But here, Aizawa finds the correct play and uses X-Death on the edge instead, so that he doesn't have to pay the tax twice. So here it's just Cecil versus the army of Black Waltzes and monsters. And he elects to pay for the Hades effect, yeah. And here we can use the Vaughn effect, yes. So this is the new Vaughn from the set. It's the first time that Vaughn is in fire, and he has kind of cast effects to do 8k, and he has Red Spiral to deal 7k, so it's a nice addition. but the 7th point of damage gets in, and that is the end of this one. So Black Mages pulls ahead against the Fire Wind FF4 deck. Yeah. You want to go back to the main character? Oh yeah, you want to clap? You want to clap?
負けたけど
Okay.
ちょっと見てほしくないぐらいのプレイミスたくさんしてました。
見返すとね
見返すと。
So both
あ
of
れ
the,
あらこれ
so both of the staff members are kind of embarrassed about watching their own play and seeing their own mistakes.
いや黒のまだ3号が強い本当に正直きつかった
Yeah, so Black Waltz 3 was really strong, and it was difficult for him to play around it with the Palamon Forum and also just get rid of it in general. He had to use this Asana the first time, and then when the second one came down, it was just too much. So, do we have any closing thoughts about the match? Does anybody have anything they want to say about these decks, or? 対戦に関することとかあればで大丈夫ですけど。
まあそうですね、まあさっきも言ったけど黒のワルツ3号が本当にずっときつかったトロムで消してから除去しないとダメなのでなかなか大変でした。ブレイクゾーンが除外する手段がなかったので絶対損しちゃうんですよね。
Yeah, so from the Firewind side, there's no good way to get rid of all of the cards in the break zone, like a Mist Dragon or anything like that. So just the Black Waltz 3, not only is it killing the Palamon Forum, but it's always recycling more cards, and then the VV and the Robel and the X-Death loops are just always going to continue, so it's difficult for the Firewind deck to play that matchup, maybe. 何かありますか？
エアリスは何かあるんですかあれは。
そうですね、タイタンっていうカードと相性がいいのと、あとは黒のワルツって、その戦ってみるとセシルみたいなデッキのその対処しなきゃ触らなきゃいけない、その選ばなきゃいけないカードに対して結構無力だったりする面も多いので、そのためにその全体を除去できるシャントってタイタンみたいなカードを相棒に入れておくといいんですけど、そういう時に除去をさらにできない状況っていうのがまた出てくる可能性があって、そういう時にパワーラインを上げて無理やり押し通すみたいなプランが取れるようにやっぱり必要だったりしますね。
1まで殴れるとね、なかなかねブロックできないですからね。
So one of the big points about the Black Mage deck for Aizawa was that so it's a deck that's really focused around choosing and removing all of your opponent's individual threats. And sometimes your opponent has too many threats, or sometimes you can't touch those threats, and that's where cards like Titan and Shantota comes in. However, there are some that you just can't interact with at all, and in those kinds of situations, having the extra power that comes from playing Aerith, where you can push your Black Waltz 3 to 9k and Robo and stuff to 10k, can be really beneficial for the deck. So it's just one of those, Aerith is one of those tech cards that shores up one of the weaknesses that Black Waltz maybe, and Black Mages in general maybe have. Should we move on to the next corner then and talk about the Golbez and Cecil starter deck?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is the 2-player starter set, Golbez versus Cecil. We've all seen the cover art for this before, but today we're going to see some more of the cards that are in there. We're not going to see any effects today. There's no spoilers. The new set just came out. But we are going to see the artwork for some of these cards, and we're going to see some characters and some elements that we're not used to. So this is coming out on July 15th, 2022, and the first deck is a Fire Earth with Golbez, and the second one is a Lightning Water, which is not something that we've really seen in the starter decks before. So we've seen Fire Earth before, you know, in Avalanche and Scions, the Final Fantasy 14, the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. But Water Lightning, I think, is totally new, right? So that'll be a cool one to see. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pictures real quick. So first of all, this is the Cecil and Golbez. You can see the cover art through the packaging a little bit, but here are the normal high-resolution versions of the cards. So this is the first time that we're seeing the Cecil and Golbez in Light and Dark since Chapters. You know, in Chapters there were lots of these kinds of cards, but in Opus is the first time that we're seeing this. So what do we think about that? Is there any information without looking at the text that we can get?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Okay.
So here are the 3 of these 10 starter exclusive cards. So these are original illustrations. So kakeoroshi. This is original illustration for Zeromus, Scarmillion, and Kane. And this is by one Miki Yamashita. And they have done artwork for Dissidia. They did the Onion Knight, the multi-element one, the Fire Wind one before. But this is the first time they've done original illustrations for the game. So these look really cool.
Yeah.
All right. And here are 5 new cards. So we've seen the Bygone and the Kane here on the left. They were shown as cards to be included in the next set, but the 3 on the right we have not seen before. So this is from left to right: Kane, Bygone, Edge, Rydia, and Rosa. So this is the first time we're seeing, well, Kane and Fire, but we already knew that was coming. This is the first time we're seeing Edge in Lightning and Rydia in Water. So, what do we think about it? Is there anything to gain from that? What kind of information can we get from this?
そうですね。
なんかありましたら。
簡単なデッキのイメージだけお伝えさせていただくんですけど、まだちょっとカードのテキスト1枚も出てないのであれなんですが、セシルのデッキの方は、先ほどスタッフの中村さんが使われていたような4のキャラクターがたくさん入っていると活躍するようなデッキになっていて、そこに新しい軸が生まれるようなデッキになってます。で、ゴルベーザの方は単体で強力なカードがたくさん収録されているような感じで、既存のデッキのアップデートに使えるカードがいくつか入っているかと思うので、そういったあたりをちょっと楽しみにしてもらえればなと思ってます。
伝えします。はい。Okay, so some insider information here for the 2 decks. So the Fire Earth deck, the Lightning Water deck featuring Cecil is going to have a lot of characters that work well together. So it's going to be a synergy package. Maybe it's going to be its own kind of deck in Standard. A lot of cards that you're going to use together with, the party members of Final Fantasy IV. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Golbez deck is going to have a lot of individually powerful cards. And I think that's something we can all look forward to. So maybe this Kane here in the Golbez deck is an individually powerful card, and then the one that we just saw, the Lightning one, is going to be in the Cecil deck, maybe? That would make sense. Yeah, so maybe the Kane one is your party member, and the Fire one here is Golbez's brainwashed Kane.
Trader Kane.
Trader Kane, yeah. Okay, any other thoughts for that, or wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
ACS のカードでも
Oh, yeah, that's right.
ぜひちょっと紹介させてもらえればと思うんですけど。
Okay, so last things, we have the anniversary box collection here with us. This is the next product that's coming out, so we're going to do a quick little introduction of this one.
カードもぜひちょっと何枚か。
We get to see.
So we're gonna show some of the actual cards.
They're not new cards.
They're not. Yeah, we already know that these cards are out,
フルアー
but
ト版のイラストのカードになってます。ちょっとテキスト持っちゃってるんで。
we're working on the focus. We're working on the focus.
こうやってやった方がいいかな。
もっと前出した方がいい。
言うな。
あれ自動フォーカスですか？
顔に合っちゃってありますね。
あ。
結構
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, here's the Tidus and Yuna. Golbez. Oh, perfect. Okay. Golbez and Fusoya. Yeah.
We're
got
seeing a
some
lot
more.
of Golbez's today.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of Golbez today. That's true. A lot of fantasy. So here's the chase card everybody wants. That's the Shantoto,
エジタ
Zidane.
エリ
The Ritz, we had this in full art, but not in non-foil. Yashola and Renoa, another chase card
ま
in
だ
the
まだま
set.
だあるんですけどね。ちょっとこ
Yeah.
れぐらいで。はい。
These are just some of the ones that we were looking forward to touching and playing with ourselves. Some of the reasons that we thought you might be interested in the anniversary collection. So just had to show them for you real quick.
Coming
Okay.
out in May.
Yeah, so that comes out on May. oh geez, I don't know, May like 21st or something, like towards the end of May. Let's say towards the end of May. So yeah, and it comes in this nice little storage box. So make sure you pick one of those up. You can pre-order them from your LGS if they have them, or from the Square Enix store. All right, and I think that wraps it up today. Anybody have any closing comments? Anything that they want to say? なんか終わりの挨拶とかなんかあればあれば
あれば
はいはいなかったら大丈夫です。
そうですね。ACS も5月に発売予定ですので、ぜひね、既存の新規のカードだけじゃなくて既存のカードでもしデッキ作れてなかったなみたいなのがあったらゲットしていただけると嬉しいです。はい。
新規のお客さんもね、これを買うだけで始めやすいので、よかったら買ってください。
All
お願
right.
いします。
Absolutely great product for players who are interested in getting into the game and veterans of the game alike. So yeah, look forward to that. All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you.
And as always, we're always looking for feedback or things you want to see on the next stream. If there's a next stream, you never know. So make sure to send that feedback to any of the appropriate channels, and talk directly to the Twitter. Go to the NA page. You can send messages directly to me as well, and we'll make sure to incorporate that feedback into the next streams. Thank you so much for joining us today. And
One thing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Please subscribe to the channel.
Oh yeah. Yes. Sorry. Yes. I'm not a YouTuber. So yes. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.